Hello everyone, it's Christian again with another video, and what seems to be my last video as this semester comes to a quick end. I'd like to mention that I've had a great semester, and I do believe that I've become an overall better speaker, and I am very thankful for that. Today's topic is a very well-known one that some of you may strongly agree with or strongly disagree with. With that being said, this video will cover all the pros and cons of giving college athletes the right to get paid for their participation in their desired sports. It's very simple. Student athletes should be looked at like any other employee, only because various statistics suggest that college athletes spend on average 40 hours per week focused on their desired sport. These 40 hours are made up of numerous training sessions and games. If these student athletes are putting in more hours than the average American, which is roughly 34 hours per week, then not providing them with salaries is almost absurd and unfair. Student athletes should receive some sort of compensation for the sacrifices they have to make and the time they have to surrender in order to satisfy set expectations. Compensating student athletes can help provide relief to their families after pouring all their time into sports. They're simply not able to involve themselves in any income generating activities, leaving them solely to rely on their families for upkeep. These athletes spend far too much time training for their sport, giving them no time to look for a side hustle or a job. In other words, any and all sources of revenue are blocked from them, which is simply absurd, and since these athletes are generating billions of dollars each year. In 2019, the NCAA announced that an astonishing $18.9 billion was collected in total athletics revenue. The money is then used to fund a number of paid positions at colleges and universities. Those include administrators, directors, coaches, and staffing. Other positions that aren't as related to the sport that were funded from this revenue included marketing and media positions, leaving the stars of the show, the athletes, to not receive a dime. It truly shows who they prioritize and who they don't. While on the other hand, after further research, it was found and made public that $3.6 billion is used towards financial aid for student athletes. These scholarships help with anything from tuition, classes, fees, and even a place to stay. You could say that majority of these low-income student athletes are already grateful enough for the opportunity of free education, the ability to play sports at a high level, and most believe that the gift of free education is more than enough to satisfy and essentially cancel out the need to pay an athlete. Since on average tuition at a public institution is for a 4-year degree can come out to a whooping $148,000, a very big number for these student athletes to cough up if they weren't offered these scholarships. And with 86% of these athletes living below the federal poverty line, according to a study conducted by the National College Players Association in 2019, the thought of paying such money to attend a college is near impossible for some of these athletes. But what these student athletes don't realize until they're a semester deep is that a lot of the time they'll spend far more time focused on their sport than their education. Students will attend colleges to earn degrees, but what isn't made clear is that majority of the time, students who plan to take up athletics as their profession often consider college life as a halt or a distraction when attempting to become a professional athlete, resulting in them focusing on the bigger picture of doing anything in their power to become pro and avoiding all other distractions, such as time absorbers like college classes and their education as a whole. Since some of these athletes are expected to perform at the highest level possible, with expectations so high and the competition getting better and better, these student athletes, have no choice but to choose training over education. All in hopes to reach a professional level, but the harsh reality is that roughly 2% of NCAA athletes move up to play a professional level, leaving the other 98% in complete shock and without a clue in what comes next. That's why supplying them with some sort of revenue throughout their journey is so important, especially for those who poured so much time and effort for it to result in nothing. Leaving that with something to fall back onto is almost necessary. After all, these athletes are the backbone to this multi-billion-dollar industry of sports. But after all, after years of showing no appreciation for the student athletes, the NCAA's board of directors adopted a new policy authorizing incoming and current student athletes to collect revenue off their names, photographs, and likeliness. The policy was set to begin on Thursday, July 2nd, and is still running. This policy allowed college athletes to collect multiple streams of revenue at once. Some include social media accounts, autograph signings, and even endorsement deals. They were also given the ability to hire agents in order to be represented in the safest way possible. With these new opportunities for student athletes to take advantage of, most can say that these college athletes are being overflown with money benefits, since they're already receiving thousands of dollars in scholarships, and now to add on the millions of dollars that some of these high level athletes are about to receive after they begin to take full advantage of this newly passed policy. After all, athletes like basketball players Sedona Prince has already confirmed that she'll be producing custom merchandise for fans in the upcoming weeks. Prince has an astonishing 246,000 Instagram followers and 2.8 million followers on TikTok. With a following so big, there is no doubt that she'll be making very big revenue numbers. Similarly, LSU gymnast Olivia Doon was very quickly featured on a billboard in Times Square to celebrate the newly passed policy. Doon is currently the most followed NCAA athlete across social media platforms, with numbers like 4.5 million followers on TikTok and 1.3 million Instagram followers, and is projected to be one of the highest earned college athletes. And these are just two athletes of thousands that will be making millions of dollars off this newly passed policy. But with all that being said, the question up in the air is still whether or not student athletes should get paid. With this newly set policy, you're probably thinking that there's really no need for further payment. But what needs to be considered is that not all athletes will be given the opportunity to sign endorsement deals and sell merchandise, due to the fact that every athlete is at a different level of playing. We cannot forget the athletes who are second string, the athletes who don't get as much playing time, and the athletes who just don't have as much fame. These athletes aren't about to receive nowhere the same amount of money as these higher status athletes do, like Olivia Doon, for example. Although it may seem like asking for too much of the NCAA to provide them with even the option to select between a yearly salary and the ability to sell their name, they would benefit thousands. They would help benefit thousands of athletes. Furthermore, these athletes have been overlooked for decades, with the amount of time and energy that they sacrifice, all to help generate billions of dollars for this one organization. Shouldn't they be given the ability to earn a salary just to help with the basic necessities and simple upkeep? All this, although this newly established policy will help resolve that issue for thousands of athletes, you cannot overlook those low status athletes who aren't about to receive the same opportunities. Giving as student athletes the ability to earn a guaranteed source of income would help those athletes tremendously, and would solve dozens of issues that revolve around them as they continue without it. Thank you and happy holidays. And here I got my little brother Brian as my audience.
Hi.